So did you know that you can actually remortgage after completing on a property in only 6 months? Here's how. Craig Parker here, Parker's Property Sourcing, just coming at you with another video today. Today's video is about being able to remortgage your buy-to-let property within 6 months of purchasing on it. A lot of people think that after you purchase on your property, you have to wait a few years before you can remortgage. But there are quite a few lenders out there that would allow you to remortgage after 6 months, providing, keyword providing, that there has been an uplift done to the property. What do I mean by uplift? So you've done a refurb. You put in a new kitchen or a new bathroom, flooring, redecorated, rendered outside, new roof, whatever it may be, but you've given the property an uplift. You can, after 6 months, go back to the lender or another lender, but you can go back to the actual lender that you're with and apply for a remortgage, get your money out, draw some money out, providing you get enough out, you can go on and buy another deal, and so on and so on and so on. That's what a lot of investors do. That is called the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy. They accelerate their property portfolio growth very quickly, and the way they do that is literally by buying something usually below market value or at a really good price, doing a refurb, taking their money out, but keeping the asset itself, renting out the asset, buying another one, and so on and so on and so on. I think it's a really good strategy. It works for most investors that use that strategy. Here is something to just be mindful of. Knowing your numbers, knowing the refurb costs, understanding the lender who you're lending from as well. All of these things play a massive part. What you don't want to do is be thinking you're going to buy, refurbish, and you get to the refinance part and you either A, you can't, or B, you haven't done enough to get the money out, or C, you haven't run your numbers. So the area itself might be at a max. There are some areas, I went on a few viewings a few weeks ago, and there are some areas, they're little mining villages where the properties, it's up north by the way, where the properties just won't go up in or go past a certain point in value, no matter what you do to them. So I'm not saying you shouldn't or should buy in those sort of areas, but for me, I wouldn't be doing buy, refurbish, refinance in those sort of areas because there's a ceiling. So you want to make sure that if that is your strategy, you're doing it in the right areas. And that's down to, research, paying for your education, or getting a deal, a good deal sourcer, a reputable deal sourcer that knows the area himself or herself very well, that knows that there's skin in the game and where there isn't. So you got to just be a little bit mindful. But today's video was really just to express that you can actually refinance after 6 months, which is good. I think it's good, and it's a good strategy if you know what you're doing. And I feel like you have to be quite experienced in what you're doing to do that strategy. Me personally, I don't do that strategy. I'm a very old school, boring, vanilla buy-to-let investor, and I will be forever. I might diversify a little bit just for, a little bit of cash flow or cash injection, but usually I'm a buy-to-let landlord, buy-to-let investor. I might wait maybe a year, maybe not 6 months, but maybe a year to a year and a half, get my money out, reinvest. But I'm not trying to, accelerate too quick because, I'm just trying to have a nice, steady growth in what I'm building. Just building blocks as I go along. But I think it's quite handy that there are lenders that will let you remortgage after 6 months. Really, really handy. And also, if you think about it as well, if you have no money and you want funding on your first deal, you might not be in a situation to fund it yourself. But if you can remortgage after 6 months, you could do something like this, for example. Borrow some money off an investor. Make sure you run your numbers, as I always say, but borrow enough money off an investor to buy the property and do a refinance, but to know the numbers, so the GDV at the end, so the gross development value at the end of the deal. And if the money is more that you get at the end than what you're borrowing from the investor, you can give him or her some interest on the money that they lent you, and you've really effectively got a property for free. Now that's a smart strategy. But again, you have to know the numbers. You have to be running your numbers to know that that's actually going to work, because you can get yourself in a little bit of a pickle if it doesn't. And we don't want that, but I just feel like the 6 months, to being able to remortgage after 6 months, opens up so many different avenues for you as a new investor or as a seasoned investor. But it's an avenue that's open, and there's quite a lot of lenders out there that offer stuff like that, which is surprising to me, or was surprising to me when I found out that you can remortgage after 6 months. Great news for property investors. So really hope you've enjoyed this video. I've been Craig Parker. Till next time.